buildings shook and multiple explosions continued for several minutes at site, where SpaceX was scheduled to carry Facebook's first satellite launch into orbit. A SpaceX rocket exploded on the launch pad at the Air Force Station in Cape Canaveral, Florida, on Thursday morning, as it prepared to carry a communications satellite into space this weekend. The satellite was intended to be used by Facebook as part of its effort to extend internet access in Africa. Facebook's founder and chief executive, Mark Zuckerberg, said in a statement he was deeply disappointed by the news. A little over a year ago, an unmanned SpaceX rocket carrying supplies to the International Space Station exploded shortly after takeoff. In a statement issued later on Thursday, U.S. space agency NASA expressed its confidence in SpaceX as a commercial partner and said the new explosion was a reminder that spaceflight is an incredible challenge. It's too early to know whether the incident will affect the schedule for upcoming NASA-related SpaceX launches to the International Space Station, the statement said. If there are SpaceX mission delays, other cargo spacecraft will be able to meet the station's needs, and supplies and research investigations are at good levels. Close quote. NASA statement said the rocket and spacecraft for its next scheduled launch with SpaceX, Osiris-Rex, were healthy and secure at a launch site a mile away from the site of the explosion. That mission, to retrieve samples from an asteroid, is due to launch on 8 September. After Thursday's blast, a huge plume of smoke billowed from the site. Reports claimed the explosion lasted several minutes, destroying the vehicle and shaking buildings for several miles around. The sirens of emergency vehicles could be heard approaching the area. Initial reports suggested there were no injuries, and the private aerospace company's unmanned Falcon 9 rocket exploded due to a problem with the launch pad, rather than with the rocket itself, during routine engine testing ahead of the planned liftoff on Saturday overnight. Images quickly emerged on social media showing the site of the incident issuing thick clouds of dark smoke and lit up with flames. Smoke continued to swirl into an overcast sky more than an hour after the reported explosion, as witnesses in the area gave accounts of feeling a shockwave. The SpaceX launch was scheduled to carry an Israeli communications satellite into orbit, with Facebook using some of the satellite's capacity. It would have been Facebook's first such launch, as part of Zuckerberg's attempt to provide internet access to some 14 countries in sub-Saharan Africa that are currently poorly connected. About 90 minutes after the explosion, with images and reports widespread on television and online, but no official word on its cause, SpaceX issued a statement via Twitter. Both the rocket and the satellite it was carrying had been destroyed, it said. The statement read, "In preparation for today's standard pre-launch static fire test, there was an anomaly on the pad resulting in the loss of the vehicle and its payload. Per standard procedure, the pad was clear, and there were no injuries." Close quote. Zuckerberg later confirmed in a Facebook post that the satellite had been wrecked. He announced last year that Facebook planned to provide internet access via orbiting satellite to at least 14 sub-Saharan African countries. In his post on Thursday, he said he was in Africa, although he did not give a specific location. His post said, "As I'm here in Africa, I'm deeply disappointed to hear that SpaceX's launch failure destroyed our satellite that would have provided connectivity to so many entrepreneurs and everyone else across the continent. Close quote. Zuckerberg said the company had alternative ideas and added, "We remain committed to our mission of connecting everyone." Close quote. The SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket was being used to launch the Osiris-Rex communications satellite for the Israeli company Spacecom. In October 2015, Facebook and the French satellite communications company Eutelsat announced a $95 million agreement to lease broadband capacity on the satellite. According to the website spacenews.com, at the time, Spacecom, Eutelsat, and Facebook reported plans to secure insurance policies to cover risk linked to the satellite project. SpaceX is the commonly used name for Space Exploration Technologies Corporation, a California-based private aerospace enterprise founded by Elon Musk, chief of Tesla Motors and former PayPal entrepreneur. The company has succeeded in landing several spent rockets at Cape Canaveral and on a barge in the ocean, although some of the attempts at barge landings have ended in failure, and the explosion on the mission to the International Space Station last year created unwelcome headlines. NASA's statement said, "We remain confident in our commercial partners and firmly stand behind the successful 21st century launch complex that NASA, other federal agencies and U.S. commercial companies are building on Florida's Space Coast." Close quote.